Hello, Energy Physics here, starting our very first documentary video on the Elite Dangerous game series. And I'm just learning how to do this OBS studio application. So we're going to start here by telling you to set up the defaults. Include in your basic scenes, which you see in the bottom left, just select scene. Keep the game capture hidden by clicking on that eye with a slash through it, and add, using the plus button down at the bottom of the sources tab, add a display capture, which is what you're seeing right now, the complete display. And if you want to see your face, like this one, add on top of that video capture device. From there, it's pretty easy to set up as long as those audio mixers are flashing green. They're usually set up for default, and start video capture is also default. Pretty much automated, very simple to use, at least it seems that way, and yet it's got very complex capabilities. So this is as far as I'm going to go. We're going to stream at, actually not stream, we're going to record at 30 frames per second. And of course this is live in the recording now. And I'm going to transition over to the first tool that we need to do what we call RoadToRiches, which is a very profitable, at least somewhat profitable capability inside of Elite Dangerous Horizons, which is what we're going to start today because Odyssey is just too complicated right now to run. And it takes a little bit more time to use that wheel. I can't stand the wheel that they have on here. So we're going to set up with Horizons and run the beginner version of RoadToRiches just to show you how that process works. Thousands of videos out there probably that run the same thing, but this is Energy Physics version of that. And we're going to use our Python. We're not a true beginner. We've got a number of ships you'll see as we do the various videos and post them up on YouTube. This is an alternative source of income for me. I'm an old engineer, used to work on the space shuttle as a test engineer, then I became a military pilot, and then I became a software developer, and then a drone and space engineer, and God forbid nobody will hire me now at 64 years old, so I'm desperately trying to earn income, and this is one of the ways to do that as a side gig. And I hope you'll contribute to my various video campaigns as we go, because it is a means of survival at this point for a lot of us engineers who've been basically let go from society, the way things are changing. I still don't understand it, but I want to work. You know, I'm 64. I don't want to retire. I don't want to quit. I want to be a physics instructor, physics professor till I'm 90 if I can. I got some great books on physics, and you can probably stream and look for those as well. They're on Amazon.com under How to Succeed at Understanding Whatever. About 97 books out there, understanding quantum physics, quantum gravity. Yeah, I'm making a plug here, you know. But they're really good, very technical, in-depth books that are out there for online purchase on Amazon.com under MHatcher. And How to Succeed at Understanding Physics is a very unique approach to how you understand real physics. It focuses on the real thing, how photons interact with electrons, and how photons pretty much drive everything, interacting with what I call mass quantum, which is the smallest possible quantum source in the universe, even smaller than the fermions, which they're composed of, which are quarks as far as we've been able to break them down so far, anything with mass. So I speculate theoretically that there's an even smaller mass out there called the mass quantum, and it has a bound state and a free state form, just like the photon quantum has a bound state and a free state form. You won't hear bound state photons. They won't call them photons anymore. Gluons or whatever the other basic bosons are, W plus, W minus, Z neutral. And the books that I've written are hypothetical in that the photon quantum and mass quantum free and bound states basically compose in large structural configurations all the particles of the standard model: the proton, the electron, the neutrino, and of course the neutron. Various combinations of bound state fermions and bosons, which is what the term is now, but I call them photon quantum and mass quantum as the smallest possible particles in the universe created at the original Big Bang, and they've been expanding the universe in dark energy and dark matter interactions with each other for 13 some to 15 billion years. Anyway, that's my quantum physics plug. So I know this is maybe boring for you, but it's fun for me because, again, it's my first video. You got to give me a break here. I'm not streaming live. I will try to do that later. This is a recording, so if it entertains you, keep going. We're going to get to the Road to Riches and Elite Dangerous just as my first test video. I'll do a whole bunch more of some 97 drone engineering, quad plane VTOL drones I build, CubeSats I build. I've got 97 different projects and project folders we'll eventually stream out and talk about, as well as physics ones in separate videos. But this is the first start, easiest for me, and kind of fun because I'm still enjoying Elite Dangerous and trying to learn Odyssey as everyone else is. And I haven't gone over to Star Citizen yet because I have loyalty to Elite developers. They need to earn money too, just like me. They're all software developers. So let's go to the first tool. I want to use what's called the miners tool. We're going to pull that up. You want to download the source for that. It's https:/edtools.cc, and known as the Elite Dangerous Tools, or the miners tool, because over here on the left hand side it says, okay, here's how you mine, and here's where all that cool stuff is: painite, low temperature diamonds, void opals, basically every kind of really profitable. Used to be a lot more profitable than it is now, but now you make maybe at most 500K, 800K if you're lucky. Used to be several million for a ton, and so they nixed it, as Elite Dangerous always does when people figure out a way to make a lot of money so they can buy a lot of ships and do a lot of cool stuff. Developers come along and go, no, we don't want you to ever make any more than $10 to $20 million per hour, which is really sad. And it's not well balanced. Everybody complains about things are not balanced in the game, so that the combat makes as much money as the mining, which makes as much money as the cargo and trading, and it's just, even the missions and stuff are pitifully weak. You might make at most $1 million an hour doing that. So we use this third-party tools more than the tools in the game because they're just designed better and work better and all those other cool things that people have invested time and energy in. So go back to the primary focus of the first video I'm making is this Road to Riches. Select that and you put a start system. Our ship is Python. We're going to use that at first. It's in Diaguandri, IAGUANDRI. You have to spell these things exactly right, they won't find them. It's 200 max distance from start. That's the minimum you can add. 300 max systems on the display. That's the minimum you can add. Get root, and it develops a really cool database. So we're going to jump 17 light years to HIP 1728 system, and it's got a really cool, very expensive, best deal you got, an Earth-like world, and it's only 627 light seconds from the initial jump-in point, which, not very far. Some of these you have to skip because they go 2,000 to 6,000 light seconds away, which takes 5 or 10 minutes, and that's just way too much time. To go through 300 of these, it takes a long time, a lot more than an hour. So we'll just do the first couple to show you the process, okay? So the first thing you do is load up this tool in the background, and of course, to go from Elite Dangerous main screen, you use the Alt tab, which screens back out to this one, and you basically want to say, capture HIP 12778. You click on that. It tells you what the systems are. That's the Elite Dangerous database. Basically you click on it. Doggone it. We need to select it. First mistake I'm making here is just getting the thing selected. Yeah, there we go. And hit Control-C to capture that. Later we'll hit Control-V and add it into the Elite Dangerous Galaxy map automatically. It's a quick way to do it, or we could type it in by hand. HIP 11728 is not that hard to type. Some of these sectors, they get really complex. So All right, so we're going to basically minimize this down so we can see the tool again for the OBS Studio. This is running in the background, and of course it's still recording. We haven't hit stop recording. So now we can go to the Elite Dangerous tool and we will click on Start. Some of you, if you're brand new, haven't even gone through this process once you load it up. So you get the login tool, and it comes in. Make sure you update the latest. Click on the login button, and I've got a username here. Got to type in my password. You can't see it. And log in. And I'm running an old laptop here, actually. It's quite old. I'm a little bit worried about running out of space and performance, but it still works. Thank God the developers have it nixed all the performance, although in Odyssey it's very slow. And instead of playing Odyssey right now, which again, I hate that wheel. It's the main reason I don't want to get in there. The wheel is very difficult to use to select the tools. So a lot of times when I'm just wanting to enjoy it, I go back and play the Elite Dangerous Horizons and click play. And it's going to set me up in just a few minutes to a full screen. And the recording will run in the background. You can't see my face anymore either. And here we go. So I like the sound when the tool starts up, actually. It's kind of cool video backgrounds. See, my little video light is on. I don't know if you can see me. Probably not. The tool doesn't overlap, but you can hear me. And a blank screen, is that a problem? Should just come right up here. What's up with that? Maybe it's just performance lagging. I'm trying to run two apps. Yeah, it's performance. On my laptop, there's the music. I'll get the video here. Yeah, see, it's lagging. Sad. So that's the consequence of OBS running in the background. I don't usually, it starts up a lot faster when I'm not running this background recording. So we'll see if we can get through this first video. If not, I gotta go get some money somehow, get a job, and go buy another laptop, which is essential to being able to work. Gotta have a laptop to work. You're an engineer, right? Yeah, see, I wear glasses. Yeah. Time varies with the preparing shaders. Now, it used to be one time the preparing shaders actually bonked on me and would stop at 29. It was just really difficult problem to figure out. I finally figured out it was my video capture card. This computer has two different video cards running in it. I never knew that, but I had to get the right card, which is a higher performance graphics card that was running, and yet had not been set as default somehow when it came as a default Dell computer. Dell laptop is a really good laptop at the time. It's probably 5-6 years old now. Preparing a planet generation system. Again, this takes time depending on your graphics card, and it actually loads up pretty good because the graphics card now is pretty capable. It's one of the few reasons why I can still run this game, because the card is high performance for a laptop. It was a good Dell system. I bought my son, I've always run Alienwares at work. Now, of course, Dell took it over, so I still run Dells that are Alienware-like. But I bought my son a really nice Alienware gaming computer. Young son, he loves to play games. He's got some disabilities he's dealing with, and he lives with his mom. But all right, so there's our Python sitting in the hangar, and of course, we'll talk about social, game extras, options, all that stuff later. And we don't want to exit, but I would just get through this. Again, I play a female in a lot of my games just because I think it's cool to look at. I'm attracted to women, of course. If you're male, you can run a female in a game. Nothing wrong with that. Although, you know, people think, well, why do you do that? Because when I run into you, you look female, and I'm assuming you're female. And I go, okay, fine, no problem. Yeah, talk to me that way. I'll talk back to you whatever way you want. So. Sometimes it's role-playing at its best if you're an actor or, you know, engineer, you can do it. So I'm Commander Ronan in this game, and Ronan is usually coming from my experience with the only other game I play, which is the Lord of the Rings Online, and a lot of my characters are named the same. I've got Ronan, R-N-O-N, and I've got Ronin, R-N-I-N as a character, and a whole bunch more, Kananis or whatever, tend to prefer the Asian profile and cultures. So Ronin came from, what was it, 58 Ronin or something that Tom Cruise starred in? Really good movie. So it's a samurai. You know, I kind of like the way, I'm ex-military, so the samurai culture is kind of fascinating, the way it originated. So let's get on with it. Hit continue button. Yeah, hope I'm not boring you here. Generally, I play an open play most of the time, but we're going to go to solo because I don't want to get interdicted by NPCs while I'm trying to do stuff. But you could pretty much run through the entire Road to Riches and not run into a single person. It's hard to tell where everybody's at now, and you know the player base is not as big as it used to be. So it doesn't matter. I would tell you, whenever you can, run open play and experience interactions with other commanders. I try to find my sons and play with my sons every now and then, but they don't. They've got too many other games they like to play, so rarely I'll see one of them pop up and we get to go, fly fighters together or whatever, and be wingmen, all that cool stuff. And do multi-crew, which is kind of cool, but nix the performance on that. It's fun, but it's aggravating because you don't make much money. Into solo play, and of course it's going to load the game up. There's my Python. I just recently bought this Python. I mean, I've been holding off on it forever because it takes about $1 million, 98 some for the ship itself, and then another 25 or 50 million to outfit it and get some of the components upgraded to level G5, A-rated, because you can't do anything unless you have an A-rated capability, and fully engineered at G5 or people just going to beat you up and you're going to lose your ship. And every time even the NPC characters sometimes can hurt you if your weapon systems and armor is not upgraded G5, level G5 engineering. So again, I've had enough time to build that kind of stuff up. In my books, I've had actually 2 books out on the Elite Dangerous, how to succeed at Elite Dangerous for beginners, and how to succeed at Elite Dangerous for advanced gamers. And so I've covered all the basics that I can. I haven't updated the Odyssey yet, but I'll put either a addendum to the book or a 3rd book, most likely, to cover Odyssey because it's so different. The ground first-person view, pew-pew, is totally different controls. I don't know why. I hate the wheel. Why can't they just build the controls the way everybody wants them to be the same? And I always set my controls up identical across all games. Even Lord of the Rings Online uses very similar control key mappings that I have set up in Elite Dangerous. I try to make sure they overlap. Like the landing gear button is L, not light, and the insert button is lights, not whatever it had before, landing gear. I mean, why would you put landing gear on insert? Insert landing gear. It doesn't make sense to me. Land, L, landing gear. It's much easier. Makes some sense, All right, so we are at Fullerton Port, which is the last place we docked at. Typically you want to go to Starport Services. You want to make sure you've got everything that you need from the Starport, and see how long it takes to transition over with the recording in the background. Things are a little slower, I guess, when you have all that extra performance running in the background. You need to get a better laptop, I guess, but can't afford one. Don't have any money. Need a job. Won't hire me. Too many companies out there won't hire old engineers. They think that 30-year-old engineers are smarter than 64-year-old engineers, which is not true. I do every mapping tool, every design tool, every 3D art printing tool. I all the graphics and design tools out there. I use for modeling 360 on shape, online, whatever. And even though I keep up with all the engineering tools necessary to build my own stuff and drones and build hardware and do CRC laser cutting and all that, I guess people don't believe it when you're 64 years old. They think you're lying. I have heard that millennials lie a lot on their resumes. They lie about when they've been fired, they lie about their skill sets, and they spend a lot of time building up the next skill set instead of doing what the employer wants them to do. Maybe Elon Musk can figure that one out. All right, so we're at Fullerton Point. I've only got 170 million. That's gone up, down, up and down as I buy ships. I got some 27 ships. If we go over to the shipyard, you'd see that. Don't have them right here because I'm over at Diag is my primary shipyard, and we're out in the middle of the galaxy right now doing Road to Riches. So all we do is make sure we've got refueled, which we are, repaired everything, restocked everything, and we don't need to do any universal cartographics yet. We don't need a mission board. We don't do the commodities market because my cargo hold, which is full of cargo bays, does not have any cargo in it. So just wanted to say, go to this screen, make sure you're good, and you got all your limpets that you're going to carry, especially that's picked up in advanced maintenance. Then exit back out to the main screen, and I put Control G in for my Galaxy mode. So we're going to go to the Galaxy mode, and remember what I said, we copied that very first point in. So Control G should take me right out to Galaxy. Taking time, it's usually right away. And we click on the little link icon up here, okay, and then click on the search tab, and you'll see the little tab blinking. That thing's not blinking, you can't enter. And then we're going to do Control V to insert HIP 11728. See how easy that is? Now, if it was sector blah 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 blah, it's even easier to copy and paste from the tool. And to get to that, all we would have to do is Alt Tab out to it, and then click on the tool, click on the link, copy it, and then bring it back in with, activating it again. So hit the little search button tab over here, go to HIP 11728, and make sure that you select the little star, otherwise it will keep the old one. And we'll go up here and we select the route, click on that, and make sure that it is a broad line and not a dotted line, which says yes, we have enough fuel. The jump on this ship Python is roughly 28 light years, and which is pretty good, although the little hauler that I have goes 45. I mean, if you want to get around the galaxy and really do Road to Riches, configure your hauler. All it needs really is a detailed discovery scanner, which is the new version of the advanced discovery scanner, the old version. It's now called a DSS, detailed discovery scanner, and you need one if you're going to discover the planets. So, and they won't make any money if you don't discover each of the planets. That means you have to run right up to them, and we'll show you that. Otherwise, it just give the initial discovery honker isn't enough anymore to make money. So we're going to go to HIP 11728, and we're going to look at the Earth-like world, and we're going to capture money from that. So we're ready to go back to the main screen, click on exit, and we go to tab panel number 1, which will confirm our navigation, and look up there, it says next jump destination HIP 11728. We don't need to add any, look at transaction or contacts pages. We just basically don't even look down at the filter page or the location page. Don't need the galaxy map, don't need the system map, but at some point we would need it. And we're in the Gagiga system, and we're heading over to the HIP system at this point. So hit the button 1 again, which gets rid of the nav panel. Go to button 4, you want to check and make sure that all of your modules are there, and all of your tab over with the E key modules are there, they're all active. Make sure that you have the priority set with enough power. Otherwise, you might have to take it down to 2 or 3 in priority. It will drop off to keep running. Tab E over again to get fire groups, and this is really important. My little kitty is down there messing with me. The fire groups, we've got beam lasers set up on it, or usually it's mining lasers, but in this case it's beam lasers set up on 1, and any limpets control collectors are set on 2 that we've got set. Use plasma accelerators on this particular build. There are a separate tab over in the next weapon system selected by going to N, and it'll cycle through various weapons. And then I've got a cannon just in the center point, just for a big, heavy, pew-pew kind of thing. And this is not, for combat. This is just in case any NPCs would mess with me out there, and we decide we're going to stand and fight instead of run. The surface scanner is essential. We kind of tab down the S button here, make sure that we've got the sensor scans The surface scanner is on one button, and that's important for the detailed surface scanner because that's what fires your probes. Okay, so I like the button joystick one to fire a probe. Heatsink you don't use, that's on the V key, and chaff you don't use, that's on the C key, so you know it's already hot button mapped in. Wake scanner is only to scan wakes of other ships if I feel like it, so that's on button 2. And then we got a data link scanner if we got any data links to look at on other ships or whatever out there. Composition scanner, which don't use that much, and then the discovery scanner, which is what's loaded up. Fire button 2, and that's your honker. So you got surface scanner, which is your primary means of analyzing a planet. You get a little more money from that. And then you got your discovery scanner, which used to be the advanced discovery scanner until they split it apart. All set up on button 2 and button 1. Okay, so we'll look at that later. I could basically go in and set the discovery scanner instead of the wake scanner on the surface scanner. That's probably what I need to do. So let's do that. We'll go D over, and we'll go down to nix the wake scanner because I don't really want to use that very much. Hit one more button on the space bar, go down with the S key, go down to discovery scanner and hit twice for 1, 2 for 2, and then we'll go over and we'll get rid of the 2 that's over there all by itself, so we don't have to have another fire group load up. So now we got the surface discovery scanner on button 1 to pew out the probes, and the discovery honker on button 2, and it'll be easier to cycle through and even quicker. Alright, so once we're done with that, we'll check the ship conditions. Make sure if you've got any turreted weapons that it's setting forward fire right now. If you go to multi-crew, you want to set them to turret. The landing gear is deployed right now. Cargo scoop's retracted, and I put my cargo scoop on backspace. There's another button in here that typically isn't on computers. The default, I can't remember what it is, but it's the down key or whatever. Game home. It's home button is the default. Why? I don't know, but that's not on laptops. So I reset all the cargo scoops are always set to backspaces, and landing gear is always set to L, and the lights always put on inserts. So it's pretty standard. Night vision is off. That's on the little period button, mapping, and silent running is off. And if you need that's on the delete key. That'll shut your vents, so you basically start to overheat, but give no heat signatures if you're trying to slip through into a starport because you're carrying illegal cargo. Then we go to inventory, W to up and E across. Inventory you'll see is empty. I've got 192 cargo capacity, but not carrying any cargo. And I do have a hopper refinery in case doing any mining, so I just didn't pull that out. It's still got pieces and parts of fragments in there, and that doesn't show up if anybody's scanning us. Pirates come up and go, "Oh, you got nothing. How do you survive with my kids? I gotta take care of my kids." Yeah, so I don't have work either. So give me a job, okay? And then there's not much else to do. Go W across E. It's status. You get your system statuses and factions and who you work for and whatever else, you know, and your modules, go back to the modules again, and you're good, and you go to status and training and squadrons and engineers, and you know, whether I'm just an expert combat rank, I'm just a pioneer explorer because I take my time and enjoy the game, I'm a trade entrepreneur, and I'm totally helpless at QC, CQC, you know, racing competition because I don't enjoy it. And I don't have a whole lot of money because every time I learn about something from the video games out there, it's already been mixed by the developers. All the cool stuff that Obsidian Ant has told us about, or Eject, or even the new guy, what is his name, Hawk or whatever? I can't remember the guy, but he put some good videos. I love Yamix. Yamix is funny. He's disgustingly crude. Very sexually crude, I think, and but I just love his sense of humor, and so whenever I can see a Yamix video, I go there first just for entertainment. But I tend to prefer Obsidian Ant. He's a cool explainer. Eject has got a huge ego, but he's very detailed, and you know, so if you want to learn some stuff, he lays it out there. He's got good videos. He's very meticulous in his videos. So I wish I could do that good. But some of the new guys out there are putting out some pretty good videos. HD, whatever the guy's name is, Hawk something, I can't remember. I'll remember at some point. All right, so we go, that again, panel 4. We're done with that. We don't need to go to panel 3, but I do have a SRV installed Scarab if we have to go on a planet. And basically that's deployable over on the right hand side when you want to do stuff, or recall your ship or deploy your ship. It'll show up when you get on the planet. Remember to put your landing gear down when you land on a planet, and don't go on planets that have gravities higher than Earth. Your engines may not handle it. This is a high-powered G5 rated engines on this one, all 6A engine, but if you don't have that, you might crash on the surface and not be able to get off of a planet that is higher gravity than Earth gravity. So you're looking for planets that are half the gravity, or 0.2 or 0.3. Those are the planets you want to go mine at. And if you do that, you got your planetary vehicle hangar on board with your SRV Scarab little rover, and you can go out and mine the planets if you happen to land on it. Mining is kind of fun when you get a good planet. And we'll go back to 3 again. 2 is the comm. I think it's kind of worthless. I don't talk to people very often, but messages will come in if you have missions or whatever, and you've got to tab over. And the annoying thing is you got to hit the escape key. You got to get out of this local thing, because I'm not typing, and then I can go up and hit E and move over to all the inbox messages. I think that needs to be redesigned so I can see messages come in first, and then we'll talk later. But I guess people prefer talking rather than looking at the messages, so I guess it is designed the way it is. And then you hit 2 again, make that thing go away. So, are we ready? We're full of fuel, we're Fullerton Point, we got our first load point, waypoint in, and so we're just going to go to launch. We'll get my little launched HOTAS up here. I've got an old Microsoft Sidewinder. I love it. No need to get a new one. And we hit the down button, S key, and space bar for launch, and here we go. We're going to hit the R key to go up, the F key to go down, and then left or right will be done with the throttle and the control stick, but R is still vertically up on its own. So launch. Da 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 da. Launch, launch, launch. I already hit the key. Why's it take so long? Bad performance. I guess I just didn't hold it long enough. Here we go. Fullerton Port. I love this Python actually. It's kind of a cool ship, but I love all the others too. I mean, my favorite ships are any ship that's fast and can get G5 rated so nobody can mess with you, and then you can pew-pew with all the NPC characters, even with an adder, R to go up. As soon as you get up, you hit L to pull your landing gear up, and you hit full forward throttle, and look down at that little radar thing there. Notice that where we need to go is a little white dot underneath us, so we're going to roll and pull. I love it. I used to be a pilot, this is really cool stuff. And roll and pull. F-15, really cool. All right, so behind something there. It's a planet. It's got to be a planet. See how that would be a mistake? There's a planet out in front we cannot see. So we're going to have to go somewhere over to the side, hit the tab key, and go thruster. Yeah, see? Actually hit the planet. Hit something. That's just amazing. I'm going to lose myself. Goodbye. Alright, let's go up. Alright. I don't know what's out there. Let's get up here above the planet. Mass lock, that's why we can't do anything. We need to keep going up, and up, and up. There's a mass underneath us, not negative. Real sensitive, there's a lot of gravity or something. Just hold that, hold that. Terrible. Oh, learning something the hard way here. Thank God I've got some good modules in it, and otherwise I'd be dead right now. I'm on full system and full engines here in a minute, but systems is going to get myself back online. Fullerton must have been on a planet. That's what it was. We were on a planet. Couldn't see it. lights? I might help a little bit. No, they're already on. Well, good lesson there. Don't go negative again. 66. Takes forever. Why does that keep turning over like that? It shouldn't do that. Alright, as soon as we're going to get the mast lock, we can hit jump, cancel, destination, target obscured. Okay. Never had this kind of trouble very often, but it's a good way for you to see this video. It's what can happen and surprise you. If you're a newbie, yeah, you would lose your ship. What the hell? What the hell? This bullshit. Yeah. Little pets go, what the hell? What the hell? They wear these little Santa Claus outfits. What the hell? Yeah. 46 degrees up in the air. 66 degrees up in the air. Alright, let's hit tab to thrust out. Double pimp up. Engines. With the page up key. Going to get way out of the space. Throttle down and see if we can turn toward the not. There's no planet there. It's still obscured by the planet. And what we should do is just get into escape mode and go J. Still destination target obscured, so we have to brake lock on the destination target. That's part of the problem. And just go to the planet mode. So remember to do that. Okay, so we'll just go to tab 1 and we'll deselect the next jump. Let's just select one of the go over and hit the Giga B. Select that as a net lock destination and hope that's not behind. Could be. God, I hate it when you can't see the outline of the planet. It's just freaking dark out there. It's part of the problem I've noticed at Elite Dangerous planet services. You can see them nice and bright. They don't let you go in the daylight, and then they just go dark on you. It's like, what the hell? You know? Why can't I see the planet in the daytime? You know? Yeah, see, it keeps wanting to go back down to the planet there. Let's see if I can get it. Yep, we can charge that out, and now we can get some moving here. Throttle up. Just go. Alright, keep going outside of this freaking planet. Everything's red still. Planets underneath us, obviously. And we're just going out into space as far out as we can go till we can get beyond this planet and go see our destination. Look at that. It's just really sensitive to try to roll inverted and head back to the planet again. It really wants to do that. It's so crazy. It wants to go back to the planet. Alright, we're out from the influence. It's going to turn yellow. Now it's behind us. And we should be able to slow down here for a minute. And go back into the Discovery navigation panel. And select next jump destination. That's cool. Still next jump destination hit 17228. Select again, hit Control V again, hit search, got it, go back. Let's see if we can get to the next system. Oh, go down to selected destination. Hit 1728. 728 should show up here. There it is. select that. That's our destination. Probably a better way to do it than that. Finally, we're able to get our destination out from behind the planet. Oh, now it's feeling normal. This is what you usually feel. And we're going to jump into hypercruise. Check the class star G, which means we can refuel there. You've got your fuel scoop loaded up. Keep it in the direction. I need to recalibrate this joystick. It likes to slide right. Throttle up. Leave it. Engage. Should have John Luke card with that voice. He's got a good series called Picard. Watch that. Alright, swing to the left quickly. Reduce your speed. Make sure the discovery channel is on the left secondary. That's called our hunker. Otherwise, we cycle through the N button. Slow speed down and refuel scooping active. I always fill up gas every time I get near a star, unless you're being pursued by some NPC character and he's trying to pew pew while you're trying to refuel, which is never really fun. I ignore the unidentified signal sources until I'm actually going to look for them, because sometimes there's emissions, high-grade emissions you need to go capture. But right now, we're on a mission. We're going to go do the very first Road to Riches, capture the Earth-like world. This is actually a pretty good fuel scoop. It's a level 3A, but it's got such a big tank that it takes a little time to fill it up. Once it's filled up, turn away from the sun. Notice it's red right now. Can't hit the jump button because of that. Okay, we don't want to because we're in the system that we need to be in. It turns yellow when it's now safe to go to jump. So again, we don't need to do that. Usually the second I come in the system, I'm not doing it right now because I'm talking, I hit the joystick 2, which is my discovery canter, and it honks. Listen to it carefully. That's what they call it. Okay. And we got, look down on the radar screen, we've got people above us and behind us, situational awareness there. And now we're going to basically slow down because we're just cruising through the inner galaxy in what's called super cruise. We're not in hypercruise anymore. And our speed's going to slow down. And I'm only doing that because I don't want to go out any further until I go and look for where we want to go. Go to panel 1 again. And I'm looking for an unidentified signal source because what are we looking for? The Earth-like world. And which one was that? Well, we don't know. Did you look at it? Do you remember which planet it was? So, if you screw up and don't do that, you hit Alt-Tab to tab out, and you're going to tab out to the game that you had captured. See the videos in the background there, okay? And we're going to go out to the web page, pull that back up, and we're going to look at, oh, it's planet number 1, 622nd light seconds, Earth-like world. I haven't visited yet. We jumped 17.14 light years to get here. All right, so remember the world number, okay? So we're going to do Alt-Tab to get back, or just hit the icon again, and the other bar icon, and come back in. Now, this cool thing is 3 ways you can identify this planet. You can look and count the number down, so it's the first planet, so the first unidentified, unexplored, not the signal sources, but the very first unexplored should be the first planet. But it's not always. The next one should be the second planet, and so on. But sometimes that's not the way they show up, because it's the closest thing to you. It may not be planet number 1. It may be another planet because you're on the other side of the solar system where that planet is. So the most reliable way is to basically go out of tab 1 and go Control S, which I have set up for the system map. And in the system map, it's so easy to see the Earth-like world. There it is, planet number 1 on the right. To move around, you use your mouse, hold the mouse button down, and then drag it around until you get the screen in the center. And you use the mouse on the Earth-like world, and you hold that, click on it to select it. See how the little thing moves over? And then select it. You don't need to cruise over or map to it. Couldn't do it anyway. But just select it. And that's going to be now in your target window. Okay, that little target window is the thing that ends up on the left-hand side of the screen. So once we've targeted the next planet, I'll show you the other way to find it would be the Discovery DSS FS, the full signal FSS, full signal whatever. Maybe that's, I'll have to look that icon up again. It's something, FSS, you get it, all right? So we'll go out and get to the FSS. And the way I do that is you have to be in Super Cruise, which we are. We're not moving in Super Cruise, and you also have to have the throttle at 0, which we have. So it's really easy to go into the full spectrum scanner, FSS, I knew it would come to me, full spectrum scanner, looking for all the signals. And my button for doing that is the apostrophe button. You can select other buttons to initialize it and set it up, but the key map for me is the little apostrophe. And there we've got the FSS scanner mode activated. And since we already did the honker, which we can also do in this mode, it can honk again and it'll identify all those 22 signals, and we've only found 2 of the 9 bodies in the planet discovered. Okay, so what are we looking for? All right, if we want to tune, we go left and right on the joystick, or we can use the left bracket and the right bracket on the laptop key map. And what we're looking for is not the, see it there, the green, Earth-like worlds. Okay, so once we have that tuned, we hit the X key and it should zoom in, but it's not because it says adaptive zoom failed. For some reason, we're not finding it. All right, so even though we have it tuned, we haven't found it. And that's because somewhere along this line, and we're moving the joystick, is an Earth-like world, and there it is. You see that? Okay, we got to find it in the screen first, and then tune it to that particular Earth-like world. It always wants to slide, and then hit the X key. Now we can scan the planet. Okay, and this is just a discovery scan. All right, that's one way of finding the planet. The third way. All right. So not much more to look at. All the details are there of its Earth masses, and we're capturing all that data now, and we're going to get credit for all of it. But we're still not going to get RoadToRiches credit until we actually get close to it. So that's the next step we're going to do. We get out of this FSS, we hit backspace. If I want to go to the planet, I hit Joy 3 on my particular to select the target. In this FSS mode, I hit joystick 3, or you could put it on any other map button you want, or if you want help, hit joystick 6. That's the other options, but it's pretty much Z to zoom out and X to zoom in, and we're going to Z out and come back out, and X to zoom in. Okay, that's how that works. And then backspace to leave the tool set, FSS tool. So now we're back, and we're looking at, notice in this, over this window that's called the 10th Hawk Squadron Earth-like world. That's because the 10th Hawk Squadron is in HIP 11728 as one of the dominant factions here. And so we're going to turn again in the radar. You see, looks like an Earth-like world in there. That's one clue you look at to make sure you got the right planet. And then of course it's behind us looking at the radar screen, so we want to turn and pull. Love to turn and pull. Do it at the cornering velocity, by the way, if you're in a fighter. Which is cornering velocity here is power up and get the little speed bar there into the blue range there. That's cornering velocity. That's your best energy maneuvering right there. You're not going to do any better turns than the optimum energy maneuvering. If you go above that, you lose energy. You go below that, you lose energy. This way, set up like a fighter, and it's not like a spaceship. Unless you go to auto assist off, okay, which is I think the X button, not a Z button. I have to find it. Anyway, auto assist puts you in this wacky space like control mode, and it takes a little time to get used to, but that's the way you fight. Okay, I think that button may need to be deactivated when I went back to the dangerous right, so I have to set that up again to get into the space mode. Alright, so we're flying toward it at slow speeds, and we're a minute and 17 seconds away at 421 light seconds. And I'm keeping it perfectly slow right now because I want to talk. but we're going to head to it. If we hit the Discovery scanner right now, it doesn't do anything really for us. We've already captured all the available Discovery data. You know, there are 9 bodies. Remember, we found details on 2 of those 9. But we don't have any details on HIP 11728-1, which is the Earth-like world, other than this little Earth globe icon. What we're waiting for is to get within about anywhere from 10 to 7 seconds away. And that scanner will begin to automatically, the Discovery scanner and the DSS module that's installed as a utility will begin to scan the planet automatically as we get close. That's what we need to get money, extra money, much more than just the Discovery credit, but we get planet credit when we actually scan the planet and find out, well, what kind of world is it, okay? Well, that's what we did with the Discovery scanner. So we could have just flown off and whatever, but I wanted to show you if you get close enough, automatically, you don't even have to go into the FSS because it takes more time. You just fly to the planet, get close enough within 7 seconds or so for it to automatically scan and tell you what the details are. So bear with me while we cruise on in. I set my throttle settings to percentages on the map keys. So joystick 6 is set to a throttle of 75%, and you want to cruise in as soon as you hit 10 seconds, hit that 75% throttle. Trust it, it'll pull the power back, and you won't go running into the planet so quickly. You will have to go to 0 power in order to stop at some point. That's on button joystick 6, 7, 8, 9, joystick 9. And as we start to get closer, right about here at 6 seconds, that scanner is going to go off, which it already has due to the FSS. But it would normally scan here in this left-hand information panel, showing the type of world and the name of the world and whatever. So we're just going to slow down here and slowly go in until we get the right size, because we want to employ the detailed Discovery scanner probes. We'll get a little extra money off of it if we take the time to do that, especially on an Earth-like world. Okay, but right about there is the right size. We want to be about this distance away. Sort of pick a size that you're comfortable with. All right, and to go into the DSS detailed Discovery scanner, it's on the surface scanner thing there. You see that? That's on DSS. It's called the surface scanner. The Discovery scanner is on the left. That's my honker. It's on button joystick 2. And my probe, detailed surface scanner probes are on button 1. So I'm going to click joystick 1, and it's going to go into the mode for the DSS probe fire. Now, to do this efficiently, we're trying to do this within 7 probes. We get extra efficiency credit if we map this entire planet to 100%, maybe 90% is good enough. And it tells you you've got an efficiency credit. To do that, you've got to select and hit the probe behind the planet beyond the horizon in 3 separate places spaced 120 degrees apart. So each planet is a different size, so you kind of gauge in your brain about where that's going to be. So about this location, straight up and down, is where I want to fire the first probe with the intent of getting behind the planet. So fire number 1, and it goes off. Then I'll swing back around 120 degrees and do the same relative position about that same point and fire number 2. Then I wait. Some guys just go over to the 3rd spot and fire that right away, but I want to see how much of the overlap comes to the front. See a little bit more, so it's not as far behind as I wanted, but just about right to cover most of the black backside. And probe number 2 should come to the front just a little bit, about the same. That's a good probe there. See how I'm just barely covering the limb of that horizon there? So that tells me I've got a little bit more of the backside on probe number 2, a little less of the backside on probe number 1. So I'm going to catch a little bit more of the front side on probe number 3. So I'm going to fire a little bit closer to the planet and try to set it up to where it's got the same. If you don't do that, it's going to cause an overlap thing. It's kind of like bowling. It's a split. It'll be hard to get all the mapping spaces. I'll show you a technique. Make sure it's 120 degrees away, and we hit that fire button for probe number 3. We've only mapped 42%. Ideally, I'd like to see 48. That tells me the first two probes are overlapping by 8%. So they should be 50% each. Oh no, 25% each. And if it gets up anywhere around 60 or 70, it's a good shot. That's actually a little less to the back than I wanted, but it makes it easier to determine where the fourth probe's going to do. I want to get right in the middle of all of that stuff that I don't overlap and get the most black space, unmapped space that I can, and try to get this thing done in 4 shots instead of 7, or no more than 7. Okay, and then you get that credit. And with Earth-like worlds, maybe that's right. It could have been a little further over to the right. We'll see, because they arc down due to the gravity pull of the probe. It should swing on out and capture most of that, and then the next problem is, do I need to go behind the planet to get the rest, or is that going to do 100%? So I got 77%. Now, if I fire over here to the right, and I try to capture more space, that might get the rest of it, okay, but I doubt it. And if I fire down here to get the rest of that empty space, that might get the rest of it, but I doubt it. I could do the same, and I would have basically 7 probes right there. But one technique is to go hit the end button, go to the back side, and look, whoa, there's that bikini in the back, okay? Telltale sign that I could get this done with one more probe, okay? Or if my probes had been a little further over the horizon, this would have been covered enough that the front one would have covered. It's hard to get Earth-like worlds in just 4 probes. All the smaller worlds you can get with just 4 probes, but I'm going to basically go out of this tool at this point with backspace and hit the end button again. Whoops, I missed the end button, so I got to go back in again. All right, with probe hit number 1. Whoop, set mode in. Okay, combat. All right, analysis mode. Oh well. So we're going to fly past the planet. I don't know why we put this mode switch between combat and analysis, but it's another major change that happened in the game for people that have all their stuff set up. And I just keep watching that gray Earth-like world thing come up. It'll turn, slow down. It'll turn orange and yellow. I just want to line it up and then go straight up to it when I think I've got right behind it at least enough. No, that may not be enough. So let's head down a little bit further down behind it. Sometimes you have to time these things so that you line yourself up the best way. But I want that thing to get smaller instead of bigger. A little further away from it. Until it gets a certain size, right about that size, and then I'll pull up to it. See when it turns that gray color. I don't know what that means actually when it turns gray, but we'll figure that out. And now we're going to slow down and look at the planet again. And we've almost got the bikini there, okay? So we want to fire right in the sweet spot of that bikini, which will be down on the horizon. So again, we'll go into, we're stopped now, and we're going to hit the combat mode activated. Deploy hard points. It shouldn't be doing that. Incorrect cockpit mode. Oh, I hit the end button. Remember? Gotta have that scanner button there. There it is, surface scanner. That's a mistake. When I hit the end button, when I was talking about the end button, it shifted my controls over to the next weapon system. So I got to get the weapon systems displaying the display scanner and the surface scanner again. Now if I hit the R button, it'll come into view. And so we're looking at the back or the front, and which is that? Is that the back or the front? I'm not sure. Which is the back? Which is the front? Okay, so back and front. The back that we're looking at always turns that slightly duller version of blue. So when you're actually facing the actual part of the planet, that's the actual back. We got somebody trying to interdict us. Look at that. All right, so I'll just submit. The dummy's going to find nothing in my hold. And go, oh mama. I'm actually glad this is happening. You get to see all this crap happen. If you need to eject cargo, set your ejection up to Alt-B or Control B, and set, ejecting on the B button is one way to select between jettison versus get rid of all my cargo. Make sure that you understand how to jettison stuff within 10 seconds or these guys get angry and they start pew-pewing you. But pew-pew is a term for shooting you, and they can shoot you pretty fast, depending on what kind of ship it is. We can even check. Let's go check to see what this guy is. We're going to basically turn around, 0 throttle, till we get him in the screen, and we hit the N button, and he went away. He's already wake scanned out, so too late. But that's how you check to see what kind of guy it is, or actually fight him and go into combat mode and do all that other cool stuff, but we don't need to do that. We want to basically shoot this little hip whirl. Alright, so now we got to go back into Super Cruise because it doesn't work in anything other than Super Cruise. We're out in jump space, okay? So hit the jump button, and then very quickly, we don't run into the planet, but as soon as we go into cruise, throttle up. As soon as we throttle up, we want to throttle down. So we get into hyperspace. Not hyperspace, Super Cruise space. Over there, and throttle down right away. Okay, turn to the planet, and hope that we are still on the back side. And we hit surface scanner button, hit the click. Did we lose everything that we did? I think we did. We lost all of our probes. We got to do this all over again. All right, so boom. Just for friends, we'll do this. Here's what happens if you shoot 4. We just do it all over. Boom, boom, boom. And what you want is to go from 77%. Oh, it still kept the percentages before. 80%, 88, 100%.
Surface scan complete.
And we got our efficiency target bonus because we still used 7 probes because I fired 3, remember, actually 4. We only fired 3 before. So we hit at 7. All right, sort of roundabout way of getting there, but so we wasted the first 3. All we needed to do was shoot in the middle. Cool enough. And of course you can see what stuff you get. If you do the discovery, it's going to tell you what's on the surface. If you hit the O key, that tells you details about a discovery. Okay, if I hit O key right now, it's not going to do anything because the message will come up on info and say detailed discovery scanner discovery blah blah blah. If you hit O key right away, it'll tell you what those details are. But if it's way too long, the O key doesn't have anything to tell you. Okay? Okay. So to get out of this, we use backspace. Now we can scan, and if there was a ring there, there would be a lot of, if we had hit a probe on the actual ring, there would be a lot of high hotspot mining areas. And then you have little orange circles, and you'd be able to see whether they were diamonds or whether they were monzonite or bentonite or whatever, void opals. That's how you find hotspots, is fire a probe into the ring. And it's interesting that if you look at the planet itself, we look at the backside of the planet, there's probably not going to be anything in there. We just did the same mistake as before, lost our probes. There's nothing on the backside. If we go into discovery scanner mode, don't see anything there. All right. Sometimes there'll be a planet with a human civilization or human outpost on it, and it'll show up in that scan. But in this case, we don't. Hit backspace to get out of it. And one way to confirm that is to go to the first panel, okay, and you'll go to contacts, and you'll see anything there in contacts. And notice all we're seeing is drop ships and other ships in the area. But if there was a base, you could see some of the resources that were available. Or we would identify things in the nav panel, which could also show up as locations on the planet. But in this case, there aren't any. Let's see if there's any. No, say nothing. Okay, so we got our hit 117281 targeted, and we know it's a 10th Hawk Squadron Earth-like world, and we've already scanned it, we've already probed it, so we've got all of our money that we can get, and the only thing we need to do now is go find the next planet on the next Road to Riches by going out to the galaxy map, going back to the Miner's Tool, which we would do the same way as before. Pop up the Miner's Tool, look at that, we would copy 38 RoadToRiches in, and we would go to that second Earth-like world and do that process all over again. And then we do probably 20 or 30 of those, and once we have enough of these Earth-like worlds and the total water worlds and the high metal content worlds, they give you a little bit less money as you go down through those. And we basically have scanned everything on the Road to Riches, and we're tired of jumps. Usually it's one jump between all of them, sometimes it's two, but you get tired after 30 or 40 of these things, and you don't want to jump into the ones that are long ways away, 5,000 light seconds or whatever, and you're ready to go back and done. Just go back into the galaxy map. Okay, at that point we'll go do Alt-Tab or click on the Elite Dangerous tool itself in the panel, and set up Control Q for your galaxy map. We're going to go back and select our home port, Diaguandry, Aguandry. It took me a while to learn how to spell that. This thing, Diaguandry. Some of these weird things. And we click on that selection. It's not that far away. We already came there first. Make sure you select the star, not the blue circle, and then hit the route plotter. And notice that it is a solid yellow line instead of a dotted line, which means we have enough fuel. Even if there was a dotted line, there'll usually be a last star refueling point there. You can make it by going and make sure that you get fuel at that last star and completely fill up, because if you don't and you go beyond that, you won't make it. So if you don't make it, call the Fuel Rats. Fuel Rats is a great group, organization out there. I've used them a couple times when I've been stupid enough as a newbie to go out into deep space and get caught between a bunch of red dwarfs that are not red dwarfs. And remember this thing, little acronym, KGB foam, okay? Those are the star types that you can get refueling from, with M being a red dwarf and the only red dwarf that you can refuel from. All the other red dwarf, 4 or 5, the L's, the N's, the Q's, whatever, you can't refuel at those. The Tauri's, the types that are just, typical red dwarfs with no energy. The M class has enough energy. It's the only red dwarf that will refuel, so that's KGB foam, K-type stars, B-type stars, how do they go? KG stars, averages, F-type stars, O-type stars, A-type stars, and M-type stars, the brown dwarfs, okay, red dwarfs. Remember, those are the ones that you can refuel at. So when you jump, always check to make sure that they're one of those star types, KGB foam types, pops up in the little info window, and you know that you're going to be able to refuel when you get there. If you don't, stop, plot a new route to the closest star you can find that you can get refueling, and don't go down that path of 4 or 5 jumps to where you get so far away that you can't jump back and to a star that's refuelable. And there's some places out there in the void where you're just going to get stuck in a bunch of red dwarfs with no gas. Then you call the Fuel Rats. I'd recommend doing that one time or two just for an understanding of how it's done. It's a really cool thing when they come and rescue you. Use the little refueling limpets and they refuel you, and it's really, actually, I recommend you join them because it's a fun part of the game. Alright, so we're basically done with Road to Riches. You just repeat this a couple hundred times, and you might make 100 million if you're lucky. If you do 100 of these, roughly it's 1 million per star. If you get a bunch of Earth-like worlds, it may be a little more. So if you jump 30 stars, you might make 30 million. You could make less if you don't get a bunch of Earth-like worlds in the middle of that. But that's about it. No more than $1 million per star. It used to be a lot more, but again, the developers, as they love to do, they keep screwing with the game balance, even though it's never balanced, and they nix all the really cool stuff that people discover and invent as ways to make, $1 billion. There's guys out there make $1 billion in a couple of hours. Like, come on, why don't I ever get that opportunity? Why does everybody nix it as soon as they tell you how to do it? Sucks. Anyway. Exit and jump. Turn toward the star. Finish this out. Make sure our hard points are not deployed. I'm typing U. Yep, they're not deployed. Here's diagonally, line it up. The jump button, J.
Frameshift drive
Medium
charging.
security. It is a Class M Red Dwarf star. In the info panel. Make sure we got 4 pips to engine, 2 pips to system, none weapons. Those are the page up, page down, home keys.
4, 3,
We're not mass locked in our landing. Back to this. Nothing shows up while you're in transition in hyperspace, except Thargoids. They'll interdict you in this stuff if you get into Thargoid territory. It's really, really creepy. The first time I ever experienced that, I'm in hyperspace and I get interdicted by a Thargoid. Catches me in the middle of that. Make sure you avoid and turn away from these things. Look at that yellow line that says this is as close as I can get to the planet and fuel scoop. We don't have to fuel scoop, but we're doing it anyway, just to show you the process. It's a red stun, which means we can get overheated. And look at that heat bar on the left-hand side of your radar display.
scooping complete.
It's climbing up more and more and more. What happens if you get really hot? It starts to burn up modules and issue warnings, and you can go up quite a ways into that and still survive it. But the only way to get that to come down is to deploy a heat sink, which would be key V. I think it's V. Yeah, it should be V. And once you deploy the heat sink, it'll drop that bar back down, and you can go on for a while. And it'll happen also if you end up closing your vents to go incognito or in stealth mode. That's a delete key, and that closes all your exhaust ports so you have no heat signature. That little button will rise up again until it goes warning, warning, all that stuff. The robot from Lost in Space. warning, Dr. Will Rogers, Will.
Warning.
Yeah.
Temperature critical.
Temperature critical. See, it'll get hotter and hotter until we turn away, even though we've finished refueling. So we turn away, and it turns cool yellow again eventually as you get away from it. Now you can jump again, like I said before. But what we're really going to do is we're going to find the home planet, at this point, Diagriandri, and we're going to go down to the Ray Gateway, which is where our little hangar is. That's one way to find it. The other way would be to select Control S for the system and select it that way. Let's do that. Go Control S. I'm teaching you everything I know right now, which isn't a whole lot. But, and it's up here, mouse button and drag, mouse button and drag. That's the left mouse button, fire button, whatever for the mouse. And notice that there's our ship icon, and that's at our first planet. Ray Gateway is circling that planet right now. And look at all those freaking fleet carriers. You can filter that stuff out, but it's really annoying. I don't know if fleet carriers is such a good idea in this game. Certainly a big money pit and tritium pit. You got to go mine tritium to keep up with it. And why does everybody want to park these things and then not ever use them? I don't understand. Probably to make some kind of money. They have a money-making scheme where they just sit there and take advantage of people and discount the costs and become robber barons in their little ships. The coolest thing I remember is people kidnapping others, taking them to where their ship is small enough to jump, and then they get trapped there like slaves while they do mining and stuff. That was a terrible way to treat real people, But I've read about that before. That was an interesting forum topic for a while. People were kidnapped and forced to do mining slavery, So, politically incorrect conversations now about slavery. So, don't talk about it. No, the world has gone woke, and it's getting worse. Why? Because we no longer care about individuals, you know? Individuals used to matter, now they don't. Now everybody's like, me. It's my race or my gender. I need special privileges because I've been hurt. It's like, I didn't hurt anybody. You hate me because I'm an old white guy. Why do you do that? I don't hate you. I just believe in being an individual with individual skills, and I work hard, and I believe that companies should hire based on your individual skills, because if you don't hire based on skills, everybody's going to be incompetent. Go to a doctor, and he's not going to be the best doctor. You want that? You want to hire based on other factors than who's the best doctor out there, best grades, best skills. That's what's wrong with that. It's the individuals. Doesn't matter what color they are, what race they are, they're just the best goddamn doctor, so hire them. If you don't do that, you get lots of people that are going to scare you because they're not competent, and there's no way to test for it. That's the fundamental flaw. It's not about anything other than that. Individual competency is what should matter. That's it. And we shouldn't look at each other any other way. That's my little wokeism pitch. I know it's not politically correct. I know people will hate you if you say anything like that. You can even lose a job over it. I've already lost work, okay? So what are you going to do? Sue me? Yeah, the world needs to understand freedom is based on individualism, and law is based on individualism, and competency is based on individualism, and you should never have a group, your gender, your race, your sex, your affiliation determine who gets wealth and who becomes poor. People should be poor only because they're incompetent and have no skills, and even then, other people should try to take care of them. The people that really need help, You shouldn't have a socialist government trying to give them help when it really doesn't give them help. It keeps them in poverty forever. I'm in poverty right now. Yeah, it sucks. I'm even on food stamps. Yeah, 64 years old. Used to make $140,000 a year, and now I live off of food stamps. Have to. No job, no money. Have to live off of the government. Can't get Social Security yet for another couple of months. Don't want to retire. I want to keep working. I hate it. It's terrible. And it's all because of the last 10 years of society becoming social justice warriors and targeting and removing people they hate from jobs. And a lot of us are victims of that and don't deserve that because we're individuals with good skills and we don't hate anybody else. Love this game though. Some of these games have the right lessons. Everybody hates pirates, right? Yeah, you can hate a pirate, but what color is the pirate doesn't matter. What race the pirate doesn't matter. What gender is the pirate doesn't matter. Is it a competent pirate? Yeah, that's what matters. Shoot your ass if he's really good. If he's not any good, maybe you shoot him. You know, not shoot him, just steal his cargo. You know, take his stuff, whatever. That's what pirates do. I personally don't like the pirate concept in this game. I prefer the other trade modes. And don't let anybody tell you that the best trade mode of all is mining. It's still the #1 way to make the most money with the least amount of time. Thank God they haven't nixed all of that. Second best way is passenger hauling missions. Robigo to Sirius and back, over and over and over. That's another good way to make money per hour. Combat mode has been nixed to about no more than 20 million. All the mission modes no more than 4 or 5 million. And pew-pewing in hazardous combat zones usually 5 million if you have a smaller ship in an area that's not designed for high intensity combat. So lots of people's videos out there will tell you how to make that money. Okay, so there we are, Diagondry. We're going to select Ray Gateway, and once we got it in the select button, that's our new target, and then we'll go back out to confirm that in panel 1. And indeed, Ray Gateway is selected, and we look over here on the panel. Yes, make sure that's selected, panel 1, and there's Diagondry AD1. Why are we looking at that? tab 1. There's Ray Gateway. That's where we're going. Now, cool thing to look at is see in there your little gateway icon. Keep rolling that around until you find the entrance way. Okay? You want to discover where is that at, because you want to roll in such a way that you keep that on the bottom and you approach the gateway with that entrance way on the bottom. That way, as you roll up and into the area, it's probably on that very last one. It's coming here. There it is. You see that little slot right there? That's the orientation. So what you want to do is you want to put that on the bottom, underneath you, if you can, and head toward that if you can, and hold it right there. Come up under that and then pull up into the station at the right speed, and you should be able to line it all up so that as soon as you get there, that little slot is right in front of you instead of having to fly past it. That's a skill set that can be developed. Okay? For right now, all we need to do, okay, is just get turning and turning. Yeah, okay, I got missions coming in. They want me to have a mission. Alright. So there's that slot. Now we know it's at the top. So what we want to do is we want to roll that around to where that slot's at the bottom. See it right there? Whoops. It's there somewhere. It's on the bottom. There it is, right there. See it? Right there. That's what we want to keep. So head down, head down, head down, head down, head down. Until we get it show up in front of us. There we go. Now we'll just cruise on in, remembering that it's pointing down at the bottom, and we're going to come in underneath it and come up into it. And that's the way you line your station up so you're close to the slot. And they usually point toward the planet for some reason, most of the time. Alright, so we're going to cruise in at our cornering velocity, putting the throttle right there where the blue band is on the right hand side of the situational awareness scope. We would call this a HUD. We're cruising and cruising and cruising and cruising. It's a long way away from here. Normally it's not this far. It seems like it. We must have run past it for a while. Oh my. What else can we do over here? We could look for unidentified signal sources. Go into the scanner. If we find some unidentified signal sources that come up as high-grade emissions, go get them, because they're very valuable, hard to find, level 5 engineering components. Spend a lot of time in every system looking for the possibility of high-grade emissions. Normally the regular emissions will give you the, the level 1 stuff or whatever. I got plenty of that already. I'm waiting for this timer to go down from 26 seconds to go to 75% throttle. I'm at 100% throttle right now. And then I want to cruise in. As soon as it hits 10 seconds, I tend to hit that little joystick 6, and that drops me down to 7 seconds or 6 seconds, and I can cruise right in it. I'm also trying to stay below it, remember I said, so that I can get that little slot open up to us. So it should be right there underneath us. There we go. Pull it down. I'm going to overshoot because I overshoot for 10 seconds. No matter what I do at this point, except up the nose, we're going to overshoot. Now it's coming back, and then we can pull back. What's the throttle? Now we can pull back up and try to find that slot while we're doing it. It's not there. There it is. There it is. So there's our slot, and we want to come in underneath that. So keep the nose below Ray Gateway. Keep that slot there where we can pull up into it. And as we get the countdown again to 10 seconds, here we go. Just let it keep rising up. This is a slow way to demonstrate. We're going to go a lot faster than this. But keep that slot down there in position. Stay below it so that it will rotate up as we pull up and into Ray Gateway. Get down to 10 seconds and we'll go to 75% throttle and cruise on in the rest of the way at 75%. Notice how slowly over time I'm letting that thing come up. It's a gauge thing. You just got to use your instincts and your sense of where you are and how fast you're coming in. Stay below it. It's a skill set that you build up. 13 seconds away. So you can see. 10 to 12 seconds away. Like I said, normally around 10 seconds. I hit joystick 6, which gives me this 75% throttle. At this point, I'm going to pull it right into straight at it, and notice that my slot is still in the front here. That's what I want to keep. I want to keep that slot underneath me. Just go down below it. See how I'm coming. It's always staying on 6 seconds right now, 75% throttle, and it'll slow up on the time. Keeping the slot below, pointing the nose below. As we get into one. There we go, we hit the J to disengage, and the slot should be slightly in front of us, on the right hand anyway. That's how you approach the station, that's how you set yourself up for good alignment. Notice the distance went in the blue zone, the speed went in the blue zone. You can use those as gauges of how much exposure is. And then kind of dump your nose a little bit to get the rest of it, slow down a little bit to 100 knots per second. Use the joystick top hat button to go down. I've got the up, left, right, down, left, center, top hat. I'm going to slow down 7.5 miles. I can go gauge. So I'm at 8 right now. Down button. I've been using to stay in line. Now we're back into 7 miles. At that point, hit throttle 0 if you want to. You can go in faster. Go to panel 1. Hit the E key to transocean contacts. Hit the space bar to get Ray Gateway, and then the D button to request docking. Hit the space button. Docking request granted. If it says no, you're too far away, or there's somebody sitting on your pad. As soon as you get docking, hit button 1 to go back to the space station. Look at the pad bar there. Proceed to landing pad 3. You got to get there within 9.41 minutes. 6 miles away. Keep your speed around 100 knots. And we're looking at the station slot for the green light, not the red light. So where is the green light and red light? Using the top hat to get alignment, controlling our speed. You see the green seems to be on the left, so we're upside down. So we want to put the green on the right, just like with boating. Okay, red right return. Okay, the red would be on the right, red right return, but in this case it's not. Green light is on the right hand side of these slots. You're up correct. Okay, stay on the right hand side. Avoid ships like that coming out and hitting you. If you hit one of these ships when you're going, or you hit the slot wrong when you're going more than 100 miles an hour, that's an infraction. You'll get a penalty and probably end up getting your ship impounded. So come in at 90 knots, open the pad number 3, scan, scan, scan. Where is 3 at? Got light in my eyes. Where is 3? Normally you can see it right away. Pad 3, there it is, right there. Okay, it's being obscured by a ship right now. Yeah, we're gonna force them right into us. Okay, so we just line up, slow our speed down. Don't forget to use your landing gear. It slows down a little more. I like to do the carrier landing. A lot of guys come in and drop down vertically. I just love carrier landing approaches. This is what it's a high angle of attack. I'm going to scoot along and I'm going to catch that arrestor cable. Okay. Yeah, it's no fun that way. All right, so I don't want to hit the road, so I'm going to come in over top of that. Not dragging my butt in here. Slow my speed down. Slow the speed down. Make sure I'm aligned. Slowly get. Actually, the Python is a little tipsy here, so not as smooth as others. And I want to drag that butt, drag that butt, drag that butt, drag that butt. That's your carry. Okay, you can do it really fast too. So we are finished. Almost. I will. Thank you very much. I do enjoy my visits. Okay, go to Starport Services by going with S down button. Hit the space bar. What we want to do now is go to the cartographic division, which which is up here. Universal cartographics. We could go over and hit refuel all, repair all. Okay, this is the D key to go over, the S button to go down, the space bar to select. Once everything's repaired, if we have any advanced maintenance lippets that we need to add, we go to that. Our lippets are not there, because to do that we go to restock, hit space bar. If I wanted limpets, the controller's still there, but I would go over and I would select them like this. I would go to limpets, control, I would hit the D space bar, fill up my cargo hold with limpets, confirm, and then head out and do that. But I don't have any mining tools, so what's the good of taking limpets if you can't mine with mining lasers? So I'm just going to leave the cargo holds empty because I might do some cargo missions a little bit. Hit the back key, get out of the advanced maintenance. You want to see my ships real quick? Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, shipyard. And this is the shipyard to the left. So I could buy these. But here's the stored ships. Go to the tab over. It's the E key. Storage ships. I've got all my ships stored here except one, which is a passenger mission stored out at Robigo. And I can just cycle through all of my ships, which is, of course, this is for you now, okay? Bounty, that's my bounty hunter setup. That's an Eagle, it's a fighter. Imperial Eagle is set up as a fighter. My Hauler is set up as an explorer. It's got a jump light. Look at that, 42.84 light years. This is a space taxi. Configure it like an explorer, okay? Yeah, you might haul a little bit at first to do some initial hauling missions as a beginner, but as soon as you get done with that and you upgrade to an ASP Explorer or an Adder or whatever you do your upgrade process to do more hauling missions, convert the hauler to a space taxi or an Explorer, because it's a really good Explorer vessels. It's the one you should use for Road to Riches as long as you put a DSS scanner on it. And that's what is on this one as well. You can see the hard points is a railgun. Don't need it, but it's more fun to pew pew with a railgun. And just annoy pirates. Yeah, it can do some damage. Alright, so the hauler is configured. I've got salvages for those salvage missions. That's my adder. The little salvage missions you go on, you're looking for stuff, and you're scanning for stuff. Those are fun, so I use the adder for that. My Mark III is set up as a fighter. The Vipers are really not that good. Everybody tends to jump over them because they're just not as good performance as some of the other medium fighters. But if you got no fighter, it's one step up above the Eagle. But the Eagle's so damn fast; it flies like an F5. Okay, T-38 F5 fighter, former pilot. I love that T-38, and the Eagle flies in the simulation almost exactly the same roll rates as the T-38 trainers in the Air Force. Really cool, really fast. We call it a white lightning. It's so fast. Go Mach 1 on it. And the fighter is a Cobra Mark III. This is a really cool ship. This is your very first all-round explorer, cargo hauler, multi-mission. It does it all. It's the very first true multi-mission, multi-crew. So outfit this Cobra as one of your very first buys, and you're never going to be unsatisfied with it. Eventually, when you want to go further out in the system, you want to get your ASP Explorer or the Python. And then eventually the Anaconda to do the deep space explorating and hauling and all that other stuff. But the very first all-around ship should be your Cobra Mark III, set up with the best stuff you can put on it. All 5G rated, all fully engineered, so that pirates can't really mess with you while you're doing these hauling missions and combat missions and whatever else that you want to do with it. Okay, my Viper Mark IV. Again, what a waste. It's so heavy and it turns too slow, but I like to use it. It's set up as an FFG, which is what I call the Freedom Fighter Group. I use this to go out and harass pirates with. I sometimes get blown up, sometimes don't. I have 2 harassment ships that I tend to go out and harass real commanders who are trying to mess with me and play the pirate role. I'll go out and screw with them with one of these 2 ships because they're fully outfitted, fully engineered, and they're not that easy to kill. So. Cobra Mark III, I got again set up as a Xeno, the very first Xeno Thargoid fighter. It's hard to kill a Xeno Thargoid using this ship, but it's challenging when you set it up with all the Xeno tools and Xeno weapons and Xeno scanners, and so I use the Cobra Mark III, the second one I bought, to go explore and find Thargoids. You can do the same with the Python and get a little bit better jump range, but this jump range is almost the same as Python. It's 26 light years, you know, so hey, it's smaller fighter, does the job when it comes to killing Thargoids. Type 6 transporter is your very first deep space hauler. The thing about this is it avoids interdiction like crazy. Nobody's ever going to mess with you if you fully rated everything to an A-type engines and A-type systems and A-type's protection. And this Type 6 is a godsend for when you get interdicted. It has high roll rates and high maneuver rates, and so you can almost outmaneuver any NPC interdictor. A little less harder to do a real commander who's got a real skill set going, but this is your Type 6 for the missions that you want to do, the mid-range hauls, and the good jump distance. Don't need to worry about armament because it's basically a runaway strategy. If you get interdicted, run. Keelback is what I use when I'm mining most of the time, and I'm mining in a hazard zone, and I tend to get jumped by real commanders. Then the keelback helps me get away. Even though I've got it hard pointed to mining lasers, I can still get away and run away, and it's designed again. If real commanders mess with you while you're trying to mine, get out of there with a keelback, because the keelback can armor up and protect itself pretty good. It's basically a whole tank, what is called a whole tank, without the weapons. Weapons are sunk. Hard to get them too well with a keelback. Asp Explorer is my favorite ship in this game almost, because it's long range, 50 jump light year, much better capacity than the hauler. It takes good cargoes. You can haul stuff back and forth. It's the one I use for all the Thargoid hauling missions and finding and exploring and doing the artifact collection and moving stuff around out in that deep space area. Asp Explorer is the way to go. Even in the Odyssey version, Asp Explorer looks so cool. It is huge. When you get in Odyssey, it's amazing how big these things were compared to how small they felt when you're flying in Horizons. You get up underneath these things that are real person size in Odyssey, and it's unbelievably large. These things are bigger than apartment buildings or whatever. Super skyscrapers. It's just overwhelming the first time you see them in Odyssey. So love this ship. One of my favorites. The Challenger, I kind of enjoy pew-pewing. It's set up mostly to do fighting, especially the Federal Gunship type fighting. I use the Challenger and the Federal Gunship also because it's cheaper. I don't need to buy it. Don't want a Mamba, but usually the next one is going to be the Fer-de-Lance, which is a really, really good fighter, but it's really expensive. So I just fight almost as good and survive just as long for the other ships. Type 9 is the one you really move up to when you're going to do a lot of community hauling missions and want to get all of it done at one run, and you can get rid of the interdictions. The problem with the Type 9 is you can run into stars with it, so be careful, okay? Make sure you turn almost immediately, and you're really in trouble when you get into a neutron star, so be careful about that low, slow turn radius. It doesn't interdict, get away in interdictions very good either. So sometimes the strategy is just submit and don't pay your cargo tax. Federal Gunship I like. It's probably not the best of the Federal ship series. Probably the Federal dropship is better, but I tried the Gunship and I fully engineered it, and it's been fun for me to play it instead of getting a Clipper or something like that, or a Fer-de-Lance. I just wanted to try these ships that people don't really think are that good. Of course, when I get more money, I bought what I bought because it was the cheapest version and almost as good as the really expensive stuff. When I get more money, I'll get the Anaconda. When I get more money, I'll get the Fer-de-Lance. When I get more money, I'll get the next, the Crate, Mark 7, Mark 2s, whatever, and just keep going from the preferred ships out there that everybody seems to want. I'm happy with my ships. They get everything done, and I can fight any of these guys just as good and almost as good in terms of winning. But I don't do a lot of pew-pew first-person shooter with real commanders. Too many egos involved. Alright, so we exit out of this, go into our universal cartographics, and we're going to dump our Earth-like world and whatever is in there. And I'll show you just one Earth-like world makes 828,000. Pretty cool. And we didn't get all of it, so we'll sell that page. Confirm. So if you get basically 10 of those, you'll get 800,000 times 10. If you do 30 of those, you'll get 800,000 times 30. So you know how it goes. Roughly a million per planet, if you're lucky. And that concludes our video. So I gotta go to the bathroom. But take care, Commanders. Fly safe.